Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise again today for the 13th time to talk about a stain on the American people, a stain on the American government. I'm talking about military assault and rape. I'm talking about the 19,000 soldiers each year who are victims of sexual assault or rape in the military. Those are figures by the Department of Defense. And yet only 13 report, because they know that if they do report, they will be summarily removed from service. In fact, 90% of them are involuntarily, honorably discharged from the military after they report a rape. So what are we doing about it? Well, I have good news this morning to report. A few weeks ago, not far from here, an organization, a nonprofit, Protect Our Defenders, was born. It's launched to give voices to survivors of sexual assault in our military. More than 6,000 Americans have signed survivor Terry Odom's petition, whose story I've told here on the floor. Terry's petition demands Congress take the reporting of sexual assault and rape outside the normal chain of command. I imagine many of my colleagues have received emails and tweets or Facebook messages from their constituents about this issue. This is a movement, and we must address it. Our troops protect us, and we must protect them. Both Republicans and Democrats should be able to agree we need to fix this system. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of Petty Officer De Roche. Petty Officer De Roche served in the Navy from December 2000 to December 2005. In August of 2001, Petty Officer De Roche was raped by two shipmates in a hotel while on port of call in Thailand. One assailant ripped off Petty Officer De Roche's clothes and held her down while the other assailant raped her. The assailants repeatedly took turns holding her down while the other would rape her. After they had their way with her, one of the rapists threw her in the shower in an attempt to wash off the evidence. They then kicked her out of the room and onto the streets of Thailand. The following day, Petty Officer De Roche, with the help of a friend, went to get a medical exam. Petty Officer De Roche was bruised and injured to such a degree during the assault, the physician had to stop the exam and began to cry. Petty Officer De Roche decided to report her horrific experience to her command. Well, what was her reward? She became the target of severe harassment, was imprisoned in the medical ward, and denied food. I know this sounds unbelievable, but this is going on in our military. When Petty Officer De Roche was released from the medical ward, her command refused to let her leave the ship and forced her to be on call 24 hours a day without receiving any counseling to help her cope with having been raped. Petty Officer De Roche sought out the ship's chaplain and told him she was suicidal as a result of the rapes and her subsequent mistreatment. Petty Officer De Roche was finally permitted to leave her ship and serve out the remainder of her duty on another ship. As if the horrifying assault and subsequent mistreatment of Petty Officer De Roche is not heartbreaking enough, her predators didn't get the punishment they deserved. In fact, something very different. Instead of court-martialing the predators, her command decided to handle the rapes with so-called non-judicial punishment. The punishment required the rapists to admit their crimes, so they admitted them. They got 6 months docked pay and a reduced rank for only one of the rapists. Both of the rapists were permitted to remain on active duty. When command informed Petty Officer De Roche of the outcome, they also advised her to, quote, accept the situation, unquote, and refrain from speaking out against the lack of punishment or accountability. Petty Officer De Roche's story highlights a system that is unimaginable to so many of us, and a system that is so clearly broken. In the military, a base commander has complete authority. Let me repeat that, complete authority and discretion over how a degrading and violent assault under his command is handled. The commander can issue virtually any punishment for any reason. If they don't want a black mark on their record, or their friends were accused, or if they simply don't know the correct way of dealing with a case, they can issue just a simple slap on the wrist. My bill, H.R. 3435, the Sexual Assault Training Oversight and Prevention Act, the STOP Act, takes this issue and puts it in the hands of others who can handle it appropriately.